200 million years ago, there emerged a lineage of carnivorous freshwater fish. After millions of years of diversification and speciation, they would come to be known as the paddlefish. These were large fish, some of the largest in their habitats, sometimes growing up to 23 feet in length. Using their long, sword-like snout, they could sense the electrical signature of prey, like crabs, prawns, and smaller fish, so they could hunt them even in dark or muddy water. The paddlefish came to thrive in the world's freshwater ecosystems, and according to the scientific paper that brings us today's news, they were, quote, most diverse and widespread 34 to 75 million years ago, unquote. So these paddlefish have a really impressive evolutionary history. They emerged 200 million years ago, so they're extremely old. They survived the mass extinction that killed the dinosaurs, and by the time stuff like mammals or flowers evolved, they were already a very old lineage, well established as the top predator of their freshwater ecosystems. It's also really impressive when you consider that most species will emerge, diversify for a little bit, and then maybe go extinct after just a small handful of millions of years, like 5 to 10 million years. But these paddlefish were so successful that their golden age, the period of time where they were the most widespread and diverse, that lasted for 40 million years, which is just an absolutely astonishing time period. They are a remarkably successful species. Unfortunately, despite this evolutionary history, and despite the fact that they've survived into the modern day as a lineage, their actual numbers have dwindled. Eventually, when we come into the modern day, there were only 2 subspecies of paddlefish left alive. And the biggest threat to them, especially since the 1970s, is human activity. Overhunting, pollution, habitat destruction, and dams. All of these things disrupted their populations and drove them to the brink. The scientific paper that I want to talk about today determined that the Chinese paddlefish, which was a top predator in the Yangtze River in China, has gone extinct. The study was a massive, river basin-wide capture survey with hundreds of sample locations, conducted from 2017 to 2018. The survey found, quote, 332 fish species, but did not find a single specimen of Chinese paddlefish, unquote. As the paddlefish are large animals, not finding any of them, not a single one, is not a good sign. It's really bad. It's bad enough to reasonably think that the paddlefish here, the Chinese paddlefish, have gone extinct. And according to the paper, that appears to be the case. They also said, quote, based on 210 sightings of Chinese paddlefish during the period 1981 to 2003, we estimated the timing of extinction to be 2005, and no later than by 2010. In addition, the paddlefish probably became functionally extinct, i.e. it was unable to reproduce, by 1993, before it went extinct. It is likely that the lack of reproduction was among the major causes of extinction. As no individuals exist in captivity, and no living tissues are conserved for potential resurrection, the fish should be considered extinct according to the IUCN Red List criteria, unquote. Alright, so they mentioned functional extinction in there. Functional extinction is a pretty tragic thing. It happens at the point where the species is still alive, the species still exists, but the population has shrunk so much that there aren't enough individuals to provide the raw genetic variety needed to sustain a healthy gene pool. It's basically the point where the gene pool cannot sustain itself anymore. It's basically the point when they're doomed. The scientists identified the dams built along the Yangtze River as the biggest threat to the Chinese paddlefish. Specifically, they pointed at the Geshuba Dam, which was built in 1981 and sits on the Yangtze River about 1,000 miles inland. The Geshuba Dam didn't have a fish ladder, or any kind of alternate route for the fish to get around the dam, and so it cut them off from their spawning grounds, which had only recently been discovered. The study also said, quote, "Furthermore, 140 historically reported fish species have not been found, and most of them are considered highly endangered," unquote. This goes to show that not just paddlefish, but all kinds of freshwater fish are going extinct from pollution, dams, and habitat degradation. With the extinction of the Chinese paddlefish, there's only one species of paddlefish remaining, and that is the American paddlefish that lives in the Mississippi River Basin. The paddlefish are closely related to the sturgeon family, and about 85% of the sturgeon are threatened as well. As an evolutionary clade, as a closely related group of species, they are all extremely vulnerable. According to the International Union for Conservation and Nature, they are the most threatened group of animals. It's another thing that we need to be mindful of going into the future. We absolutely must protect and conserve the apex predator fish in our freshwater ecosystems before they're gone forever.